A glorious Thursday, Eagles Nation. I have to confess, my mind is no longer in the week. It has already flown straight into Sunday, because our eagle never rests. It sharpens its beak, it readies its claws, and it prepares for that devastating dive onto the next opponent. This is instinct. This is power. This is the pride of wearing the green and white of Philadelphia. Out here, there is no middle ground. You either fly with us, or you get left behind. So before we dive into this battle spirit, I'm asking you to hit that like button. It truly helps the channel grow. And tell me in the comments, who remembers that historic game against the Buccaneers back in 1988? A crushing victory, one that marked an era and proved to the world exactly what our Eagle is capable of. I want to hear from you. I want to feel that energy in the comments, because Sunday is coming and the sky is already turning green, ready for the highest flight. So now, together, Eagles Nation, it's time to fire up the soul, raise your voices, and shout it loud, "Fly, Eagles, fly." Now let's dive straight into this. The NFL world was rocked this week when the Houston Texans surprisingly released safety CJ Gardner after just 3 games. This came out of nowhere, considering Houston had recently restructured his contract, converting over $6.5 million of his salary into a signing bonus. That kind of financial move usually signals that a team has long-term plans for a player. Yet here we are, only 3 weeks into the season, and the Texans have cut ties with him. Something clearly happened behind the scenes. For Eagles fans, this is a name that stirs emotions. Twice now, CJ Gardner has suited up in midnight green, and both times Philadelphia went all the way to the Super Bowl. His versatility, swagger, and knack for making big plays made him a fan favorite and a vital part of the defense. In just 28 games as an Eagle, he racked up an incredible 12 interceptions, an absurd ratio for that short span. When he's on, he brings an emotional edge, the kind of fire that can tilt the energy of an entire defense. But as always with Gardner the story comes with baggage. Reports coming out of Houston suggest multiple issues: blown assignments, lack of accountability, friction in the locker room, and even displeasure with his role. There was speculation that he wanted out, or maybe even requested a trade, before the Texans decided to move on. This isn't new territory with him. Around the league, the reputation is that he can be difficult to manage both on and off the field. The Eagles themselves traded him to Houston just months ago in exchange for offensive guard Kenyon Green and a swap of late-round picks. Ironically, Green is no longer even on the roster, leaving Philly with nothing tangible to show for the deal. Now here's the key question. Could the Eagles bring him back? Initially, fans wondered if NFL rules would even allow such a move.
So soon after a trade, there was confusion about a rule suggesting a player must be with another team for at least 4 games before being reacquired. But that's not actually the case. Adam Schefter and Jeff McClain both clarified that the Eagles absolutely could re-sign Gardner right now if they wanted to. Legally, nothing is stopping them. But should they? That's where the conversation gets complicated. On one hand, the positives are obvious. He knows the system, he's a proven playmaker, and he adds depth at multiple positions: safety, nickel corner, wherever you need him. He's tough, he's physical, and he brings that swagger opponents have to respect. On the other hand, there are very real concerns about his durability, his personality, and the cultural impact he could have on the locker room. Remember, this would be the 5th time in 7 years that a team has decided to move on from him. That says a lot. Nick Sirianni's comments today seem to close the door, at least for now. He praised the safety group as it stands, highlighting the growth of Andrew Mukuba, who has quickly become a starter and is doing a lot of the same things Gardner can do without all the drama. Mukuba's development, paired with Reed Blankenship's leadership and stability, gives the Eagles confidence in their safety room. Add in contributions from players like Sidney Brown on special teams and depth roles, and Sirianni made it clear he likes what he has. His words may not have been a flat-out no, but they were close. That leaves us with a fascinating dilemma. Gardner is still talented and would absolutely bring energy to this defense. But the Eagles also place enormous value on culture, on having a locker room free from unnecessary distractions. They've already moved on from him twice. Bringing him back again could send mixed signals. Does the potential reward outweigh the risk? Would his playmaking ability give this defense the final boost it needs, or would it disrupt the chemistry of a unit that's been building momentum? When we left off, the biggest question was whether the Philadelphia Eagles should take another gamble on CJ Gardner. Let's push that conversation forward, because it's not just about talent, it's about timing, culture, and the bigger picture of what this franchise is trying to build right now. The Eagles have worked tirelessly to create a locker room rooted in accountability and brotherhood. When you listen to Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, and even leaders like Jalen Hurts or Jason Kelce in years past, the message is consistent. The culture matters as much as the playbook. That's why the coaching staff has been so deliberate in developing young talent like Andrew Mukuba. Mukuba's trajectory is one of the real bright spots on this roster. He's showing instincts, versatility, and a maturity that's rare for a young safety. Every snap he plays is an investment in the future of this defense, and throwing Gardner Johnson back into the mix could very well slow that growth. On the other hand, championship windows don't stay open forever. The Eagles know this better than anyone. The last 2 times Gardner Johnson was on the roster, the team ended up in the Super Bowl. That's no coincidence. His ball-hawking ability is rare, and his knack for creating turnovers changes games. Think about the ripple effect. One interception at the right time can flip momentum, quiet an opposing stadium, and energize the entire sideline. When you're chasing a Lombardi trophy, those moments matter. But here's where the caution comes in. Gardner Johnson isn't just a high-reward player, he's also a high-risk one. Injuries have been part of his story, and his off-the-field habits, particularly his tendency to air frustrations on social media, are a headache for front offices and coaching staffs. Remember, general managers and coaches don't want to wake up to viral tweets from their own players. That's the kind of distraction that chips away at trust and unity. For a team that prides itself on staying focused and united, this risk looms large. Adam Schefter's latest comments put this into perspective. He acknowledged that technically, yes, the Eagles could bring him back. But he also stressed that it doesn't feel like a viable situation right now. Why? Because this isn't just about roster mechanics or cap space, it's about identity. Do the Eagles want to reattach themselves to a player who has now been released or traded by 5 different teams in 7 years? That pattern doesn't happen by accident. At some point, as Schefter said, you are who you are. Nick Sirianni reinforced that sentiment without outright shutting the door. His praise for Reed Blankenship and Andrew Mukuba wasn't just coach speak, it was a deliberate statement. Reed has become a stabilizing force in the secondary, a player whose consistency helps younger teammates thrive. Mukuba, meanwhile, mirrors a lot of Gardner Johnson's traits: smaller frame, plays bigger than his size, quick to the ball, and a solid run defender, but without the baggage. Then you add Sidney Brown, who is carving out his role on special teams and rotational snaps, and you start to see why Sirianni is excited about this group. They might not have the star power Gardner Johnson brings, but they have balance, unity, and upward momentum. So the question shifts, is it worth disturbing that growth and chemistry for a short-term spark? Would bringing Gardner Johnson back inject the kind of swagger this defense thrives on, or would it divide a locker room that's been steadily climbing? Eagles fans know this better than anyone. The line between brilliance and chaos with him is razor thin. That's why I want to hear from you again. If you were in Howie Roseman's seat today, would you roll the dice on a reunion with CJ Gardner Johnson, knowing the upside could be another Super Bowl run but the downside could fracture the locker room? Or would you stay the course, put your trust in Reed Blankenship and Andrew Mukuba, and let this young safety room grow together? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you head out, make sure you hit that subscribe button for the best Eagles coverage right here. Smash that like if you're riding with the birds all season long, and check out the videos popping up on your screen right now for more in-depth Eagles analysis. Go Birds! The more we think about this, the more it becomes clear that the Eagles' decision on CJ Gardner Johnson isn't just a roster move, it's a statement about the philosophy of this team. Philadelphia has always walked that fine line between taking calculated risks on talent and protecting the integrity of its locker room. Think back to past moves. Howie Roseman has never been shy about swinging big, whether it's a blockbuster trade or a bold free agent signing. But when it comes to culture, this organization has drawn some hard lines, and Gardner Johnson keeps testing those boundaries. Let's break it down even further. Statistically, Gardner Johnson's time in Philadelphia was impressive. 12 interceptions in 28 games doesn't just happen by accident. That's elite ball production. He has the instincts, the quickness, and the energy that can flip a defensive series on its head. Pro Football Focus even had him graded at a respectable 63.4 overall during his short stint in Houston this season, with a strong 71.2 against the run. Those numbers show he can still contribute, and yet, his coverage lapses and occasional missed tackles also remind us of the inconsistencies that come with his style of play. Now compare that to what Andrew Mukuba has shown so far. He's still learning, but he's been steady, reliable, and most importantly, coachable. That last part matters more than fans sometimes realize. Coaches love players who take accountability, who learn from mistakes, and who show growth week by week. Mukuba has all of that. Reed Blankenship brings a calming presence, someone younger players can look to as a model of preparation and professionalism. And when you add Sidney Brown's hustle and versatility, you have a trio that may not have Gardner Johnson's star power yet, but they bring balance and hunger. So the real question becomes, do the Eagles need Gardner Johnson, or do they just want the version of him they remember from the Super Bowl runs? It's tempting to fall in love with the highlight reel, the swagger, the energy. But the truth is, those moments came with a cost. The social media noise, the behind-the-scenes friction, the injury history, all of that weighed on the Eagles before. And it weighed on the Saints. And it weighed on the Lions. And it just weighed on the Texans. At some point, the pattern tells you the story. That's why Sirianni's words carried so much weight when he praised the current safety group. It wasn't just about giving his players confidence. It was also a subtle message to fans and media like, we're good with what we have. This is a coach who values chemistry. He's seeing what can happen when a locker room loses focus, and he's not about to jeopardize the foundation this team is building. Still, you can't ignore the fact that the Eagles are in win-now mode. Jalen Hurts is in his prime. The offensive line, while still strong, isn't going to stay together forever. Veterans like Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox aren't getting younger. The window is open right now, and sometimes adding a playmaker, even one with baggage, is the kind of move that can tilt the scales. That's the tug-of-war Roseman and Sirianni are facing. So, Eagles fans, let's put it in your hands one last time. If Philadelphia brought CJ Gardner Johnson back, would you see it as a bold, aggressive move to maximize this Super Bowl window? Or would you view it as a dangerous gamble that risks undoing the chemistry of a defense that's just starting to gel?